Good Monday morning, everybody. How you doing? It's good to see y'all again. Good to be back with you. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed, those of you who've liked and commented. Please continue to do so. Also, those of you who are watching this channel for the very first time, please like, comment, subscribe, set your notifications. My plan is always to be here every Monday morning. So let's get ready for another awesome time. Listen, life is not the way it is, or life for many of us is not the way we want it to be, and therefore it is the life that is for us at this moment. Okay, meaning I personally do not believe that it is what it is. I believe it became what it is for a number of reasons, for a number of factors. But we're not going to deal with all of the external situations. We're going to deal with the personal ones. If you can change you, that is, change your mindset. And that's one of the things my coach continues to talk about. If you got to change your life, if things are going to get better in your life, you have to change your mindset or have a mind shift. Now, today we're going to be talking about the real reason some people always win. And yes, I'm giving you the title right off the bat. The real reason some people always win and others never do. Now, if you're a part of the others that never do, today can be the day that you decide to change that. Stop blaming external circumstances and take responsibility for what you can do. So, what if life is truly not it is what it is? If you believe that life can be changed, if you believe there's a possibility, life has the potential to change, you are, some people use the term in blessing, I say you, in luck, I say you're in blessing. What can I do? What is my mind set on? What is my mind set on? Once I change my programming, once I change my paradigm, once I change what I think, how much better will life from the inside look on the outside? I have to be willing to make those assessments and make those adjustments if I truly want the changes that I say I want. So, most people have allowed their lives to turn out the way it is. You say, well, Darius, what do you mean? How is that possible? Well, you've admitted it if you believe in it. Yes, I am harping. I'm repeating myself for a reason. If it is what it is, if it is what it is a principle or a lifestyle choice or a quote that you live by, then you're never going to change your life. You will never change your life. But if you believe that life is not full of random occurrences, even if you cannot explain them, life is not full of random occurrences, now you're at a place where you are aware that change is possible. So let's go and go to, there's 3 points I want to make today. So let's go and go to point number 1. Mindset versus excuses. This is the most important point. There are some people who have been born in certain situations, financially speaking, for example. They have trust funds or their family is wealthy, and so they're living off their family's riches, etc. I get that. You can't change that. However, there are people who are in those situations who don't value and appreciate the situation they're in, that take it for granted. And so they don't understand the tough avenues of life, not because they can't, but because they won't. And so let me say this real quick. It is not a curse to be blessed in a family that is financially well off, but it can become a curse to you or a curse to them if they don't know how to handle it. If they don't become the person and they don't develop the mind I know I said it twice, if they don't become the person who can handle what they were born into. And again, it could be because their family didn't teach them, their parents, their guardians, their aunts, their uncles, whoever did not teach them how to do that. But generally speaking, them taking accountability is what I'm talking about. If they don't become the kind of person that can handle the lifestyle they were born into and see themselves expanding in that lifestyle, they would never be any better off. They would be like spoiled brats. They will seem like they are bad for society. They will feel very much entitled, which I do not like. And they will come off rubbing other people off the wrong way. You don't want to be that. But many people haven't been bought financially well off. So what about if you've had good coaching, good mentoring, good examples in your life? What if you were born, maybe I weren't financially well off, but you had people always taking care of you? If you don't know how to manage that, it's going to be a problem. Not only for you, continue to be a problem. Not only for you, but for others. Because other relationships will not be developed. You will not make connections with people because of the energy you give off. And that's what we have to be careful of. Again, all of us should be. I ain't gonna say all of us are learning, because everybody is not. I would not presume that. However, we have an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to develop so that we can become the best version of ourselves at that given time and be readily available for those opportunities that come before us. As my dad says all the time, when preparation meets opportunity, success occurs. And I'm going to add to that, when opportunity arrives and you're unprepared, failure occurs. I know about that. Listen, put your hands up in the comments. Put some hand emojis up if you can identify with that. I know I was taught very well. I just didn't practice what I was taught very well. That was on me. And it's still on me. I still have lots of growing and lots of learning to do. And I'm grateful for every day I wake up. I have an opportunity to do just that. That's why I'm sharing this with you, because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to be stressed. I know what it's like to have these high expectations on myself. Forget what anybody else might think, on myself. And when I've underperformed, I have thought less of myself. And it drained me of the energy, drained me of the opportunity. It drained me of producing the type of energy I need to recognize opportunities that were created for me and or for somebody else. So I missed connections. I missed opportunities. I know this by experience. So I'm not just talking about somebody else's experience. I'm talking about mine. Check out some of my other videos. I know in the first one for sure, probably some in the second one, I did share some of my life experience with you. Procrastination was horrible. I was terrible at that. Why didn't I have stuff and other people did? It wasn't because there was a lack of teaching. It wasn't because there was a lack of training. It was a lack of consistent action, practicing what I was taught. When I narrowed everything down and I became aware that at the end of the day and at the beginning of the day and in between, when I was not doing my part, I could not rightfully expect the principles to work out for my good. They were working, but they were not working out for my benefit because I wasn't beneficially working them. So I had to change my mindset, and I had to stop having the excuses. I was making excuses, and my dad also says, if you make excuses, you will always have them. So stop making excuses for your failures. Stop blaming everybody else. Even those who have contributed to your failures, to situations in your life that did not benefit you, stop blaming them. Reframe how you see those past experiences. The haves think in terms of ownership, okay? They think in terms of value. They think in terms of multiplication. You have to change your mindset. Stop thinking in terms of, when I say ownership, take ownership of your situation. Take ownership of your decisions. Take ownership of outcomes. Even if it's not your fault, take ownership of those moments and say, this is how this is going to turn out next time. I learned from this. This is what I took from that. I made a decision this morning, relationship-wise, in a certain situation, just to reach out one more time to see if there's anything what I could learn from why that relationship did or did not work. That particular relationship did or did not work. I want to know from the other person's perspective. Maybe if I made a mistake, I can improve by learning what did I do wrong. How can I improve? Now, that takes introspection. That takes a willingness to admit or be willing to be open to the idea that I may have messed up in a situation. So I put myself in that position to learn. That's all. I took ownership. I value me. If you don't value you, if you don't value the skill sets you bring and the opportunities to grow and gain new skill sets, if you don't value your time, if you don't value your mindset, if you don't value your energy, nobody else will. And you will never amount to being the type of person you can be, do the type of things you can do, and have or possess the type of things you can have. That's all up to you. That's not up to God. I know what people say. I'm going to pray about it. That's good. Pray. Get guidance from God. Let God guide you, but God won't do it for you. Your family, your friends, your spouse, your kids, or whoever, your job, your business. There are principles that are at play. And if we don't learn the principles, failure will always be an option. The have-nots often wait for permission, validation, or handout. So if you're a person who do not have the type of life you want, and maybe you are successful in this area and you have what you want in this area, but over here you don't. So financially you're good, but your relationships are lacking big time. They're suffering, they're failing. So you're financially successful, but relationally you're a failure. Okay, sit down, think about it, ask the right questions, and if you need the opposite opinion, obviously a different opinion, somebody who's on the outside of the situation, or even if it's your spouse or your kids or your friends or whoever, sit down and talk. Let your ego go and ask the right questions so you can improve and be a man enough or woman enough or boy or girl enough if teenagers are listening and say, let me check this out. Let me really evaluate this. Let me really think about this. Let me put my ego aside and really see, am I the problem? I'm taking it. That's very powerful because now people feel like you can work with them. Now you're going to have some people who are going to take advantage of the situation because that's just who they are. Those are people who are not going to reflect. Discount that. You be the person do the right thing even when others do the wrong thing. The have-nots wait for permission. Stop asking to be successful in whatever venue. And I'm talking about worthwhile goals. Stop asking for permission or expecting to have to get permission in order for you to be successful. Go do your part. Don't make it happen. Let it happen. I used to have that mixed up. I used to say, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make it happen. And I did not make a lot of good things happen that way. A lot of good things did happen, but I didn't make it happen. I simply worked principles. I just had to become more aware of more principles that I need to learn, understand, and then apply. The have-nots. Let me go back to the haves real quick. The haves thinks in terms of ownership, think of values, and they think of multiplication. Stop adding. Stop looking to add. When you say, I'm going to add this good thing or do this, maybe you don't even think in terms of adding. But think of multiplying your efforts. Think of multiplying the outcomes. And you'll begin to multiply the incomes. I'm talking financially. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about knowledge. Instead of addition, think in the term, let me add this and let me add this. Let's think about multiplying skill sets all the way around. This stuff really does work. I don't work it perfectly, but I'm in a process of developing a perfect practice. I said process. I'm not perfect at it yet, but I'm in a process of perfecting working certain habits and doing away with the wrong ones or the other ones I don't want. Now, going back to the have-nots, they wait for validation and they wait for handouts. Stop waiting for other people to validate you. You've already been validated by your creator, by the creator. And stop waiting for hands out. Are there times it's nice to receive a handout? Of course it is. Somebody want to hand me a check for $100,000 and it's legit and the conditions are good or maybe don't have any conditions to it. I'm not going to say no, but I'm not going to sit around and wait for it. So stop waiting for people to give you stuff. Start learning principles, become aware of different principles. Make sure you have the right understanding, then start applying what you've learned. Now, let me challenge you with something. What is the story that you keep telling yourself that keeps you broke, that keeps you relationally deficient, that keeps you from wanting to learn, wanting to grow? What story are you telling yourself that you can't be better, that you can't be healthier, that you're not, that you can't do better, that you can't live in this neighborhood or that neighborhood? Again, I'm talking about pure motives. I'm not talking about greed. I'm not talking about all those other things. Let's stay positive here. You want to transform your life. It starts with transforming your mindset. Once you begin to transform your mindset, you begin to transform what you speak. Once you begin to transform what you speak, you begin to transform your efforts or the work you're putting out. Once you transform that, you transform your results. What story are you telling yourself? If they're all negative, that's the problem with where you are now. So let's go to number 2. Long-term discipline versus short-term gratification. The haves invest, they delay pleasure, and play the long game. I wish I had of, and I'm not saying this in terms of regret anymore, but I'm using this as a story. I wish I had of played the long game. But I was so gung ho. I was so passionate. I was so focused on getting the quick result. I want the money now. I don't want to wait 9 years. I wanted it in 9 months or 9 weeks, or in some cases 9 days. Just using that as an example. I want what I want now. And that cost me. I still had to wait long, and longer than I probably should have had to. But you know what? I thank God for that experience, so that when I do acquire the financial results, and the other material blessings, the relationships, the wisdom, the knowledge, gaining new knowledge as I learn more from other people, I believe I'm going to use those experiences. I have decided to use those experiences not as stumbling blocks, but as stepping stones. You can do the same thing. Listen, you can decide to reframe your past. Like I said in one of my previous videos, my father, last September 2024, hit me between the eyes with this wonderful word of wisdom. He said, Darius, reframe your past. As soon as he said it, it hit me. I felt so empowered. But I have to practice that now. That was a mental shift. I shifted then. I still revert back to some old way of thinking. But then I said, wait. I have to come back. I have to catch myself. I have to have what's called a conscious interrupt. Reframe my past. Not as failures, but as lessons learned or lessons to be learned. Delay. Be willing to delay your pleasure, okay? Be willing to do that. It's not a bad thing to do. Delay it. Some of it. You should have some pleasures along the way, but I'm talking about that big payoff, that big thing you're looking for. That big thing could be whatever that big thing is to you, that thing that is big to you. But give it time. Let it develop. You do your part and let it do its part. When you try to force it, you make things worse. So don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to others. They delay pleasure and they play the long game. What else? The have-nots, they often trade the future for what feels right or good today. Please stop doing that to yourself. Yes, I'm pleading with you. Stop doing it to yourself. You are frustrating yourself in the process. If you go outside and you want to plant a garden, and every day after you put the tomato seeds in it, for example, and every day you go out there and dig it up, you're going to frustrate the process. And if you ain't careful, you're going to abort the process, and it will never grow. So learn the law of the seed for tomatoes, and then obey the process. That's all. And if you do that, you do your part, and everything else works. Let's say everything works together. Then in whatever time frame that's supposed to be, you'll have yourself a garden of tomatoes. Okay? Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a break. Work in peace rather than struggling and in labor all the time. Stop hustling so much. You need to rest. Rest your mind, and then you'll rest your body. Stop trying to rest your body, but your mind is still flying 100 miles an hour. Relax. Start living. Stop trying to always escape or trying to rush to get from A to Z in the shortest amount of time by taking unnecessary shortcuts. I'm not saying that some of your time can be cut down. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're trying to force your way, it's going to make it much harder and much more difficult than getting there. Here's another thing. They build bricks, the others chase balloons. Who? The haves, the have-nots, they build bricks and others chase the balloons. Stop doing it to yourself. Set a proper foundation and then start building your structure up correctly. Don't just lay bricks. You got people chasing balloons all over no. If you want to be the best you can be, do the best you can do and have what you have. Learn the principles and start living them. Set a good foundation. Here's the third point I want to make to you. Strategic relationships versus emotional attachments. The haves align with people who sharpen them. Don't be afraid. There are people who are smarter than you in certain areas. Connect yourself with them. If that's the right relationship, connect yourself through books, through meeting somebody, through other types of connections. Connect yourself. The have-nots, they stay loyal to circles that drain them. So, there's some relationships I felt have drained me. I have to make the decision to turn off the drain. Unplug the drain. So, unplug the drain. Some of those relationships, it's time for you to go on. It's time for them to go on. That's one of the principles of life. You're only as free as your closest 5 voices. So check your relationships. Don't just be emotionally attached to this and to that. There are times you have to make what I would call a business decision. I know that people like to separate business and personal matters, but I believe that they're actually interchangeable. I believe they're connected, because there are times when you just deal with business, but it's going to affect you personally. And then there's some things that you do personally that will affect you in your business relationship. So we need to clearly be able to identify that. So you're only as free as your closest 5 voices. Depending on where you want to go, check the relationships you're in. If today has been a day that you needed to hear these words, please let me know in the comments. Share this video, like, and subscribe to the channel. And share this channel with somebody else that you believe could really be impacted by the content on this channel. Remember this: Jesus loves you, so do I. Maximize the moment.